Well, and it's so funny because they'll always be like, yeah, the Dominion machines flipped the voting. And you'd be like, well, then why did Fox News pay $800 million settlement and not provide any evidence during discovery? Well, I don't know anything about that. Okay, so why are you making the claim?
I will
Yeah.
say, and I want to say that is the go-to response with any of the MAGA talking points when I'm talking to a MAGA person. And again, we're not talking about conservatives or Republicans. We're talking about MAGA. Uh,
Yes.
and I think that that distinction is important, although the lines are becoming more blurred. Uh,
Yeah.
that 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 whenever presented with facts, figures, data, oh, I don't know anything about that. Well,
And why are you,
why
yeah,
are you
why
even
are you making the
espousing
claim?
an opinion when you don't know anything?
Yes.
So my favorite MAGA comment, blah, blah, blah. My favorite common MAGA talking point is America first. So the second thing is who was America great for? When we talk about America first, we cannot talk about America first mentality without talking about make America great. So who was America great for? White men. I just want to talk about, was America great for Black people? Was America,
Not,
no, was America great for women? Was America
no,
great for disabled people
or gay
or men
people
who
or
had
trans
mental health
people.
issues?
Yeah, I mean,
Was America great for gay, the LGBTQ
yeah.
community? So when you say make America great, you want America to be great again for white men, period. Pause for a second. I mean, the stupidity of this argument is like making my brain melt. If we're going to put America first, Americans first,
Yes.
don't we want to make education affordable? Well, I don't support his behavior. I support his policies. There are 100 people in the room. 8 of them might be receiving more benefits than they should, or they're receiving benefits fraudulently. So you're telling me that 92 people should not get benefits because there's 8 who might not be getting them, who might be getting them and shouldn't.
Remember that there is no s- resistance that's too small.
Oh, hi. Welcome to another episode of Hopeful Resistance. My name is Sarah, and this is my son Aaron.
Hi.
And we come to you every week where we talk about all things batshit crazy in the government of the United States. And we also talk about how you can remain hopeful, how you can resist um, nonviolent resistance. We also try to make some sort of sense in a way that's different from normal pundits about what the fuck is going on. And so this week is no different. Aaron and I have been visiting about so many
Many
things.
things. So many things.
So many things. And if you
Yeah,
have
and
our
it's
t-shirts that says so many things, we happen to
yes,
have them.
we do have them. Yeah, this week has been whenever we were talking about like what are we going to talk about, and I all I've been doing, truthfully, is just all consuming Epson content because it just seems to be the current zeitgeist, I guess, of like
Well,
all anyone's talking about.
honestly, there is just, we could probably have multiple episodes about Epstein because it is just so much more than sex trafficking. It is about power and control and all all
Yeah.
all the things. But we thought that perhaps we should digress for a moment.
Yeah.
And what you suggested, and I thought it was a great idea, was common MAGA talking points. I call them MAGA myths, and how we can debunk some of those, and also just what's a
And
counter?
yeah, I would say the other thing is I don't think people realize how many there are because of the rapid fire method by which they use to broadcast them. So
Well, what
that
was
was
so
the other.
funny is you and I shared lists, and our lists were so completely different.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there was not one repeat, not
yeah.
one repeat.
There's
And
some tie-ins, but
Aaron
yeah,
and I
they're
make
like
notes, because we like to at least have some sort of
yes.
reference. And so, it was kind of crazy. So the whole point, and I think it's important, we have a MAGA talking guide that is linked in the show description if you want something like that. Our whole goal is we're not trying to own the MAGA. We simply want to provide you as a listener, watcher, reader with a way of countering some of the batshit craziness. Some of the stuff is so off the chain and off the wall. I feel like going, what? The little Motorola dog, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and some of them, like some of the counterpoints, are frankly just going to be for people. Like I said, it's just like general awareness of what of these points, because some of them, um, like once we get further down, like my list actually goes into some of the connections that they have to like white supremacists, um, which is a whole other art, like whole other thing. I think I've tried to point out to people is like, aren't you at least a little concerned that the white supremacist groups are like like in full backing
No,
of
I mean, seriously, if when
the
we're
admin?
calling the white supremacists and the sex traffickers, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Like,
Yeah.
so with no further ado, we
Yeah,
are
go
going
ahead.
to jump right in with countering common MAGA talking points and MAGA myths. And Aaron, I think since you came up with the idea, you go first. Pick one.
Okay. So I have a lot. I think the first one that has recently come up, I think again recently, is was the 2020 election stolen, which is that it's such a reoccurring thing that always gets it. It's funny to me because Biden's entire administration is why the country is like why the country sucks right now. And then anything that's messed up is anything that's good is Trumpism. This is verbatim. Anything that's good is Trumpism. Anything that's bad is because of Biden. But the 2020 election count has come back up, and I think it's worth going down
I
some
want
of
to repeat
these.
what you just said. So uh, it's it's July 27th, 2025,
Yes.
and he has just won his second term.
Yeah.
And
Not
uh,
even 6 months
yeah,
ago.
yeah, 6 months, right. And we're still talking about the 2020 election, which Biden won. And
Yes.
then you ran right into everything that's bad is Biden's fault and everything good Trump did.
Yeah, so there was a an interview that he did, and we're getting into the weeds again. But there is an interview that he did where they were talking to him about the economy. They were like, "Well, so help us understand. Like, there are there's stuff in the economy that isn't good right now." And you're saying, so you're saying that the economy is all you, and he's like, and verbatim, he says, "No, no. See, the things that are good, that's Trump. Like that's Trumpism. But the things that are bad, that's because of Biden."
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Verbatim on the interview.
Yeah,
Says that.
and the fact that he's built a persona around being able to say things like that without being mentally incarcerated is just a perfect example of cultism. So we're
Yeah.
okay. So let's
Okay,
talk
so
about the 2020. I think that was called what? The Big Lie.
yes, it is called it was referred to as the big lie. I think a lot of people don't realize. So they claim that the 2020 election was stolen. But I mean, there were over 60 court cases across across most of the states, mostly swing states, that basically that they either lost outright or they were dismissed before they moved forward, just
And
because there was not enough evidence.
this would have been done by a lot of people that had been appointed by Trump.
Yes. And I think it's also worth noting that here we are in 2025, and even now, like the DOJ and the cybersecurity agency, they can't find any proof. There's just no proof of widespread fraud at
I
all.
wonder if we could get them to pivot and look at the 2024 election.
Probably not. Although there are court cases I know, like out of Maryland, I think
There
there's
are.
one.
And that court case is actually moving forward.
Yeah, because so there's some speculation there. So one of the other claims that they made during the 2020 election, besides was that I don't know if you remember this. I thought this one was interesting. So there was the claim that the Dominion voting machines were that they had flipped votes.
Didn't they
I don't know
pay
if
a
you.
settlement to them for?
Yes. So Fox News, this is why Tucker Carlson is no longer with Fox News. Tucker Carlson was on Fox News, and they had been losing, viewers to like OAN, to like some of the more extreme um,
Right wings, crazy.
media companies.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to basically like win some of their viewers back. And so the way that they chose to do that was to basically parrot the same lie about the Dominion voting machines. And Dominion sued them, and Fox News settled. It was something like over. It was almost $800 million.
I'm going to ask
Um,
you a question that you may not be prepared for. One of the things that I think is a MAGA talking point is pretty much anything that comes out of Fox News, right? But
yeah, well,
what's the MAGA perspective on the fact that Fox News lost a lawsuit that their news?
so this is actually a thing that you'll see a lot on if you watch debates online. They don't. They will always say this. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about that. And I am always
Is it
amused
like all
that they'll
800,
say
wasn't it like an $800 million settlement?
yes.
We're not
They will
talking like
always.
not a slap on the hand there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because they'll always be like, yeah, the Dominion machines flipped the voting. And you'd be like, well, then why did Fox News pay $800 million settlement and not provide any evidence or discovery? Well, I don't know anything about that. Okay. So why are you making the claim?
I will
Yeah.
say, and I want to say that is the go-to response with any of the MAGA talking points when I'm talking to a MAGA person. And again, we're not talking about conservatives or Republicans. We're talking about MAGA. Uh,
Yes.
and I think that that distinction is important, although the lines are becoming more blurred. Uh,
Yeah.
that 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 whenever presented with facts, figures, data, oh, I don't know anything about that. Well,
And why are you,
then why
yeah,
are you
why
even
are you making the
espousing
claim?
an opinion when you don't know anything?
Yes.
So, okay, so election and voter fraud claims include, of course, the big lie about the 2020 election, which includes the Dominion. And
Yeah.
so, of course, the response is you said there were 60 court cases and nothing was found. The DOJ
Yeah, nothing was found. I mean, and Trump's own DOJ did an investigation and didn't
was
find
the
anything.
DOJ, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
His own DOJ did an investigation and did not find any evidence.
And then the Dominion, they lost that. So
Yeah,
what,
Fox News.
I mean, are there other voting?
Yeah, so it start some of these start to get I'm gonna start with the more reasonable ones, and then I'll give the last one I'll give is the most batshit crazy one. So the next one is a pretty easy debunkable one, which is there were claims that there were votes from dead people and that they had used those votes to like stuff the ballot in favor of Biden, which kind of went with like the 60 court cases thing as well because the states went back and they did audits and they did recounts and they did
And if
you
I'm not
know
mistaken, all of this hoo-ha about dead people voting, if I'm correct, and you did the research on this, that like in the last, I want to say it was 8 or 10 years, so that would have been 2 or 3 election cycles, they've only found four cases of voter fraud across the country. That
yeah
legitimate
and
voter fraud, not people who, their address changed and they didn't have legitimate voter fraud.
yes and like it is such a rare occurrence because of how tightly controlled it is and that it's controlled on a state by state basis. So yes, there's I want to say it might be a little more than three or four, but it's like over the last 8 to 10 years. But it's not this. There's no
Well,
proof
hell,
of
if it was three
widespread
or four
fraud.
in each state, if it was 150, 200, that's
Yeah,
going to change a presidential election.
right. And so
Okay, so we had zombies voting.
yes, I know, and that's the thing that makes it crazy too is they'll talk about. This is what I think is so interesting whenever people talk about this because they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't have to provide states won't make me provide an ID when I go to vote." And I'm like, "Oh, that's correct. They don't because you provide an ID when you register to vote, right? So anytime you go to register,
And
you have to
if I
it,
hypothetically I go in and I vote for you, yeah, my name's Aaron. Okay. And they don't ask for ID, but then you go in and vote. They're not going to let you vote. So it's not like,
yeah.
okay. So basically, I guess the argument is I'm going to go in and vote for a 90-year-old person who's not going to go vote.
Yeah, I would guess that that would be the case, and it's something like that, or like the whenever they talk about illegal immigrants, I imagine it's because they sit around and imagine that
I know.
again
I
that
swear
they
to
just imagine that every undocumented migrant that lives in the United States has a fake identity, and that they're just
That
exploiting
they're
like fake
exploiting it.
IDs.
I will say though, MAGA's been well trained to run to extremes, and that's the fear, the thing we talk about all the time, the hate and fear, the platform of
Right.
fear. If you're afraid of something, if you're and well, this could happen, this could happen. I wish they would be as concerned about, other things that could happen to Americans. Okay,
Yeah.
go on. Sorry.
So
I did
it's
take
okay.
these notes, and I got to know about the Italian saddle.
I want to do that one last because like I say it's the batshit craziest
Okay,
one.
I gotta wait.
The next one that I want to bring up is there were claims that Mike Pence could have overturned the election. This is actually the root of why people believe this is like the root of J6. This is why it was an insurrection and why people think Donald Trump should be jailed for it because he incited the insurrection and that he did actually try to himself steal the election because he came up with fake electorates. If for those that aren't familiar with how the like how
Didn't some of those people go to jail?
yeah.
Okay,
So and I don't know if they were pardoned with the J6ers or who knows.
I'm sure.
Um
I'm sure that.
yeah, so the elect the elect the electorate scheme was that basically what they tried to do was they tried to bring in people that were like, oh, actually, I am an electorate and I'm casting my vote for Donald Trump. But the electors that they tried to bring in were not like legally selected, right? Because the way I think they tried to bring in some from Hawaii
So wait a
and
minute. Wait a minute. The people who were worried about voter fraud brought in fraudulent voters.
electorates. Yes, they brought in
Well,
yes.
what do electorates do?
I
They
know.
vote.
Yes, yes. This is actually the biggest. That's
Every
actually
accusation is a fucking
is
confession.
every time.
Every
And
time.
and that's the thing that makes it so crazy is that whenever we talk about, they'll say, "Oh, Biden stole the election." Whenever it was like literally Trump tried to actually steal the election by bringing in fake electorates.
Uh-uh.
So they believed that because it fell on Pence to ultimately announce who the winner is
But
that
all he
every
had to do was just say, nope.
yeah, that what he had to do was say that the fake electorates, those are real electorates, and I'm taking their votes, and that Trump would have won. And Pence, who is,
Honorable.
yeah,
He
and
made
a
many
politician,
things wrong, but in
yeah,
this case, he did the right thing.
yes, and even Pence himself said, I couldn't have legally like chosen those electorates. They were fake electorates, it's really hard to say that word over and over again, but
Right.
so
I'm noticing
so
you struggling.
yeah, yes. Electorate. Yeah, try to say it 3 times fast. It's not fun. But so Pence was like, no, I couldn't have overturned the election. That's just completely
I
bonkers.
remember getting flamed back in 2020 by saying that he did an honorable thing
Yeah.
because, well, um, yeah, I got flamed for that. Not just that's a long story, but by people who just didn't like him. But it's back to that purity mindset. If a
Oh yeah.
if a bad person does a good thing, then it's still a bad thing. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and then the last one is the one that you mentioned
Oh
is
God, I gotta hear this one because I've never.
is Italy Gate. Okay. So if you guys aren't familiar with what Italy Gate is, Italy is a conspiracy theory that was spread by QAnon, like our favorite
It would
modern
have been my
conspiracies.
favorite thing.
Yeah, and so the claim was that they had used satellites to change votes that were Trump's to Biden, and that it was instigated by the Vatican using the U.S. embassy in Rome, so that the Vatican had manipulated or was either in control of or had manipulated someone within the U.S. embassy in Rome to then use satellites to change votes from
Okay, I
Trump
did
to
not
Biden.
hear this one because it would have provided a wealth of entertainment, a wealth of humor, a wealth
Uh,
of snarky comments. I missed this
yes.
entirely.
And that theory, like all conspiracy theories, I'm giving you the macro level because obviously anytime you talk about these conspiracies, there is
So many
so
more.
much like little tiny nuances, and some of it is connected to some truths because that's how they work.
Well,
Um,
that's how a conspiracy, I was just getting ready to say
yeah,
that's how conspiracy theories work. But remember, behaviorally, people make up conspiracy theories for two reasons. One, they just can't accept that the reality they want is not the reality they've got. And the other thing is the world is a confusing and scary place. And if I'm living in my lizard brain, both of these things are a result of people living in their lizard brain and operating off of hate and fear. I'm going to need to construct a conspiracy where, there's some bad guys out there.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the other thing I noticed, I've been watching videos kind of about it lately. Is it also just makes people feel like they're kind of a part of a club.
Of
Makes
course.
like they're oh I'm
That
the one that
tribal,
knows,
yes, this is
you
that
know.
tribalism we talk about all the time with MAGA. And that, I'm part of something greater, that glue, I did an interview this week about the emotional intelligence aspects of the platform of hate and fear. Hate is social glue. That's why, the KKK draws people. That's why, anti-Semitic um,
Yeah, yeah,
organizations draw people because we are bonded by our hate. Love
yes.
is not. Love and care and compassion is higher brain thinking. And so it bonds people together in different ways. So if you're in your lizard brain,
Arguably stronger ways, I would think too, right? I mean,
arguably stronger. But if we're talking about people living in their lizard brain, remember, the bully on the playground is going to punch you in the nose. You're going to report it to the teacher, versus punching him back.
right.
So, okay, Italy Gate. And so so that's the claim. What are the facts associated with that claim? Hey,
So,
Vatican.
so
That is a
yeah,
fact.
I only had the surface level because when I first heard it, I was like, that is so fucking crazy. I'm not even
Gotta
going
spend
to
time looking
grant
at it,
that.
right?
The time, like I have too much other shit
And
that
have
I
you
gotta.
noticed that whenever, ever, ever you ask a MAGA for sources, because we've got our favorite friend Russ, and I tell you,
Hmm.
he's a good, I think he's a decent person. I'm not going to say good. I think he's a decent person who's just been confused. And whenever I ask for sources,
Yeah, nothing. Every time. Every single time.
and I would be happy to research, check out, sources or, whatever. But okay, so all right, well, my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite MAGA comment, blah, blah, blah. My favorite common MAGA talking point is America first.
Okay. I already know where this is going.
Americans should come first. And under that is every little itty bitty thing that hates everybody else. We need to secure the borders. We need to protect jobs. We need to defend tradition. Make America great again, basically, is built on the America first concept. And I mean, I think it's important that we understand, I get why we want to see America put first. But I think that we also have to remember when we talk about make America great again, which is the core tenet of MAGA.
Right.
I want people, I make people define for me, what is that mean? What
Right.
does that mean? Okay, so you're going to hear every little thing about
Oh yeah.
all
It
the
means more jobs. It
right.
means more money in my
It
pocket.
needs more job, and I'm like, you're describing a world that never existed. Okay, and
Yeah.
if you really want to, so let's take this point by point. If we're going to talk about make America great again, we need to think about the immigrants. Okay, you're talking about 3% of the population, which has pretty much been a steady number for decades. Okay, so you've just targeted a group of people that all of a sudden are the problem. When that statistical number of the population being undocumented immigrants has pretty much been the same for decades.
Right.
The second thing is it's about, more jobs. And I'm like, okay, what are the jobs that you're talking about that people used to do? Manufacturing jobs, which
Almost always exclusively.
almost always, like when people were making a living wage 50 years ago, they were working manufacturing jobs. And
Right.
the cost of living was XYZ. And if companies had increased, I mean, if the cost of living now and the pay people got was commensurate, the pay would be almost double what it is right now. So this whole make America great again is you just want a simpler, more comfortable life. And so make America great again is a really short way to say that. And we're not going to pontificate on the fact that that's exactly what Hitler was saying. Exactly.
Exactly.
Germany
That is
great,
exactly.
make Germany great again. Um, and I am going somewhere with this. So the second thing is who was America great for? When we talk about America first, we cannot talk about America first mentality without talking about make America great. So who was America great for? White men.
Wealthy, wealthy white men.
Well, not even wealthy. If you think about back to the cost of living, a man could work, his wife could stay home, and his life was okay.
Right.
Okay, right? A man right now, think about how hard it is for you guys sometimes without
Yeah.
some of that additional income that comes
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so,
without the VA disability,
yeah,
how
yeah.
impossible that would be for you.
It would be impossible.
It would be impossible. Sorry, I'm not trying to out your personal.
No, you're right.
So if you think about when they talk about Make America Great, it was great for white men. White
right.
men had these manufacturing jobs that paid a living wage. Their wife stayed home, and the kids, were in a
Yeah.
school that was well funded because taxes at that point for the wealthy were like 90%.
Yeah, because and that was the thing I thought about as I pointed out that it was just wealthy people. I mean, even then, wealthy people were still making an insane amount of money, even with the insane taxes.
Correct. They were still making an insane amount of money, even with
Yes.
the insane tax rate. And we've made so many loopholes. If things were moved, if we want to make America great again, let's
Close
also
loopholes,
the tax code.
rebuild the tax code,
Go
like
back to the tax
overhaul
code that we
everything.
had back then, and less
Yeah.
loopholes. But make America great, that whole mentality. I just want to talk about, was America great for Black people? Was America
Not
No, was America great for women? Was America
no,
great for disabled people
or gay
or men
people
who
or
had
trans
mental health
people.
issues?
Yeah, I mean,
Was America great for gay, the LGBTQ
yeah.
community? So when you say make America great, you want America to be great again for white men, period. Because if you wanted America to be great for everybody, then we would do a lot of things differently.
And it also brings up the point because whenever we talk about, I feel like it's worth very clearly pointing out that whenever they say white people, um, they aren't always exclusively talking about skin color. And bear with me on this.
No, no, you're
They're
right.
talking about like a mentality because.
Yes.
Because I feel like people get lost sometimes, and it probably actually pushes some people away from the idea that whenever they hear white people or they hear white men, it makes some white guy who has no idea what that like what that definitionally means. That they're like, well, I'm a white guy, and it's not gonna, I'm not benefit. Like, look, calm down. We're talking
Not
about
all white, not all white guys.
yeah, we're talking about a particular type of person that they're looking to like. Generally, it's based around religion. It's based around family
White,
beliefs.
white Christian conservative men.
Yes. And they will pull in anyone. This is something the right does extremely well. They will pull in anyone that is in alignment with that mindset.
And I will say this, and this may not be a popular opinion, but that's okay. Since when did we care about being popular, right? Uh,
Right.
one of the things that I have heard said is it isn't about skin color, it's about mentality, and but it is about Black people who know their place. It's
Right. It's
about
a
Hispanic people who know their place. It's about women who know their place.
Yeah, and it's the argument. They do it too, where like, oh, I'm not against immigration. I just want them to have to go through the process. And then we're like, okay, what if we speed up the process? Oh, well, that would cost a lot of money, and like, there's always an argument because it's not about what do they call it? The ideal immigrants is what they're called. It's like I'm trying to remember what there's a better
No,
term
you're
for it, but
right. And so we had to belabor the point about make America great. But if we're going to say America first, then we also need to define what that means. Because if we're talking about purity with America first, we need to be talking about making it great for all Americans, not just the wealthy, not just the powerful. And that would mean that we had to invest in education. That would mean that we have to invest in healthcare. That would mean that we have to invest in infrastructure, that we need to take care of the climate, take care of the environment that's within the borders that we want to protect and keep the immigrants out of, right?
right,
Policies that slash, and I wrote this down, policies that slash social programs or punish immigrants don't put America first. They fracture communities and undercut our values and our economy because I did some extensive research on the net profit
right,
of
right, right, right. Yeah, I remember you put a
undocumented
big post out about it.
immigrants. It was like $8,000 a year is the net even if they avail themselves of the emergency Medicaid because they can't get food stamps. But
Right.
I'm not bitter.
But I digress.
I digress, right? And
One of
this,
the things that makes me, and I don't, one of the things that makes me think about, I recently watched a debate, those, not the Jubilee,
I don't
one
know
guy
how
and
you
20
watch it
murderers,
because I'm telling you,
but
I'm 2 seconds in going, oh, hell no.
I can't do this. So Candace Owens recently went on and she had a debate about feminism, and Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, all these big right-wing influencers, all of them parrot this same bullshit talking point that college is a waste of time and that you shouldn't go to college, that you should go into a trade. I'm gonna say this. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with going into a trade. We're obviously low on tradespeople right now, and I certainly think that there is plenty of opportunity for people that are able and willing to go into it, that they should. And we should be encouraging people to go into trades. What I disagree with is them arguing that college is a waste of time for two reasons. One, they're sending their fucking kids to college. They're
Well,
not sending their sons and daughter.
they went to college and they're mad that their degree was useless. Someone talked them into going to college.
Well, and well, Charlie Kirk doesn't have a college degree. Charlie Kirk picked up on the Trump side. That's why he's such a hard Trumper, because Charlie Kirk's entire fame and everything is built around Trump's success, right? His entire turning point, you need to say all of it, is built around Trump's success.
Yeah,
So that's why.
if we wanted this podcast to take off like nobody's business, we would just echo the MAGA talking points of
Oh
hate.
yeah, and
We would be
explode.
international sensations overnight, right?
Yeah.
And
And then Candace Owen did go to this is one I think is super funny. Candace Owen did go to school for journalism. She did go to school to do the things to do what she's
she's
doing.
a failed journalist, so college must be a waste of time.
Right. And so sorry, to bring that back around, they'll talk about, oh yeah, not only is it pointless because you won't use the degree, but it's really expensive. And I'm like, well, why not just make education free? It's not
Okay,
expensive
so let's
anymore.
just pause for a second. I mean, the stupidity of this argument is like making my brain melt. If we're going to put America first, Americans first,
Yes.
Don't we want to make education affordable?
Right.
Don't we want to erase these stupid, incendiary, I mean, they're just explosively stupid student loans. I mean,
Right. Well, and I mean, the thing is, you could take all of it. The problem that I really have whenever they talk about this stuff is that they talk about how college is pointless and that's a problem, but then they don't actually provide any practical solution besides just don't go to college.
that's when you, honestly, that's when you know it's a stupid talking point, when you just say something is bad and you don't fill that void with something else.
Right. Like we've got like there's practical solutions we could have.
You
I mean,
know,
I have great ideas, but
breathing is really bad.
people that breathe,
People
they
that
die.
breathe are just stupid. You just need to stop breathing.
Do you know that breathing can lead to death? Yeah.
Right? Drinking water can kill you.
It's
I
there's
mean, almost
100% of people that drink water, they die.
100% of people who breathe and drink water die.
They die.
I know, right? Okay, so here's one
Oh
of
God.
my last things. If America first means anything, doesn't it mean that all Americans thrive?
Yeah, that's
Because what's happening here? Fear-based nationalism is getting confused for patriotism.
yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean that's
America
the that
first. We hate anybody who threatens our borders. All those gay people are polluting our values, and the black people and the Jews, and they're just destroying everything.
yes.
Okay, but they're Americans. So you're not arguing America first. You're arguing white people first.
Well, and that was this was the thing that I put out. I remember I posted a while back whenever we first started getting into kind of this political idealism, activism that we're doing now was like it angers me that MAGA was able to hijack patriotism.
They hijacked patriotism, the flag. They, although I will say, I've seen some of the costumes they've made with the American flag, and they can have those.
Yeah, good
Just want the
riddance.
flag back. They can have all the clothes.
Well, and yeah, and that's really, I mean, that's really the biggest issue that I not the biggest, it's one of the biggest issues I
I was
have.
gonna say, Aaron,
Let's say, I
so
know I had to
sorry.
catch
That
myself.
is
Yeah, I was
absolutely
like,
one of the many.
yeah, yeah, one of the yeah. There's so much, but it's definitely one of the finer points that I'm like, it sucks to be a prior service member and have like all this love for our country and not being and feeling like if I showcase it that I'm not actually that it's not showcasing my true ideals.
So, true story. And you know this. I have sung the national anthem at quite a few places. And it was all I could do. I mean, I sang at Ranger Stadium years ago before I sang at Lone Star Park.
I think I remember the Rangers like it's at least one time Ranger
Yeah.
Stadium.
Yeah. Oh, only once. I mean, they never asked me back, but that's okay. I mean, once is enough, right?
Yeah,
It was all I could do not to cry. I mean, the national anthem was my song. I love
yeah,
that song, right?
yeah,
And then with all this stuff going on, I'm just like,
yeah,
so yes. Okay, so we've talked about so we're talking about MAGA talking points, and I have a feeling we're probably going to have part two because
yeah.
we've only gotten through two.
Yeah, and I got a
We have
whole
like
I got a whole
pages.
mad list of the shit that goes on over there on that side of the
It's like,
fence.
I think yours is like 4 or 5 pages long. Mine, I only did
But
four.
what?
I only
Yeah,
did
what?
four. You fleshed out all of yours. I was a,
Well, and the reason why my list is so includes so many things is because I watch so much
you
online
do. God.
stuff.
I
I
don't
watch
have
so
enough
much commentary.
Xanax. I don't have enough Xanax for that.
Yeah. That
Okay.
I get to watch them live argue these points.
It's the most, it's honestly, okay. So we talked about, let's back up. So we're talking about countering common MAGA talking points, MAGA myths, as I call them. We did election and voter fraud claims. We talked about the America First mentality. I'm going to throw it back to you. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so since we just came off on my points, we just came off of the the voter fraud case. I feel like we should at least talk a little bit about what happened on J6 and why. Because J6 for me, whenever he
Like
pardoned,
like like 9/11, I remember where I was. You were probably still
yeah,
a
well,
kid.
and J6
So for
in
J6, do you remember where you were?
yeah, I mean, I was at, I mean, I was at home. I want to say that I was watching, I was probably, I want to say, like watching someone who was watching, the entire, uh, like, like
I was,
they're watching Congress, the vote certification. I could not think of it
yeah. I was
live.
watching
And
it. I was watching it and I was taking pictures of my screen and posting it, crying. I was
right.
weeping. I was weeping. It was
I mean,
it
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 was insane.
it, it was the most horrifying. I can say right now, 64 years old, it was the worst thing beyond the Challenger explosion, beyond 9/11. Um, for me, I recognize there were a lot of deaths in 9/11. I recognize that there were deaths, with a
But
Challenger.
those were enemies without. I mean,
Um, you know,
those weren't like,
exactly. And then Challenger was a pure accident. 9/11 was enemies without. But J6 hit me so hard because it was Americans storming the Capitol.
right. And I want to preface this, and this is probably an unpopular opinion. If if it hadn't been based on lies, what the J6ers did would have been justifiable.
I do not disagree. If I do not disagree. If I'm going to say
It's
this, and
it
here's another unpopular opinion. Because I am not convinced that the 2024 election was legitimate, there was indeed a moment where I thought, well, they did it.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that if I don't know what the country looks like if it turns out that the 2024
I've been trying
that the accusation becomes a
I have
confession.
been trying to do research on that, but Harris would never, ever, ever, even if it was shown to be uh uh uh, uh what's the word? Fraudulent election, Harris would have never, ever, ever condoned a J6 thing on her in her name. So
No, yeah, there's no way that no that there's no way that that would have happened because we would have tried to do it within the confines of the system.
the
So
J6 lie, the myth. No,
yes,
not the myth.
so
J6 existed. We need to just say the lie of J6.
yeah, yeah, and so there's two things. There's two big things that come up whenever we talk about J6. Um, and like most MAGA things, they are counter to one another. So the
And
first
they're
one
both based
is
on lies.
yeah. So the first one is that the people that led the Capitol riot were Antifa and FBI agents. There's a couple of things wrong with that, but outside of the fact that there's zero evidence to support it. The
The
first
fact
is
that
it
they had
was
t-shirts.
yeah, and the fact that it was Trump's FBI at the time. So we're going to argue that Trump's DOJ, Trump's head of FBI led an insurrection against Trump winning the election. I would think it would be the other way.
Although the argument, I have heard the argument made that Trump's FBI was instigating it to cause it to happen. That they were that the excuse for the J6ers who were engaging in that heinous behavior, they were provoked, they were led
Okay.
by and it goes into the great Trump, the art of the deal. What is that like that? What was that?
The Trump's the deal maker that can't make no deals.
Right?
Just
What
it's
was
supposed to
that
be 90 deals in 90 days. Where are we at?
chart I sent you that I found on that MAGA guy's page that was like, what?
I and see, and I hadn't I hadn't considered that there was probably some, but the Antifa thing I think is so moronic because the people that they have videos of them breaking the window to get inside the building were Proud Boys, and that was coordinated, and they were prosecuted for it, and they were pardoned.
They were, see, this is the thing. I can't find it. I know that I just sent it to you. Like, was it that long ago? Yeah, and I think this is the thing. If we're talking about The people that led the J6 riot were Antifa and Trump's FBI. Well, they were convicted
Yeah.
by
Excuse me. Yes.
judges who uh, were in charge of that.
Yeah,
Were
well, I mean, and not to mention that there was a crap ton of video evidence because, of course, there was. Besides the evidence from within the Capitol building, there was there was the evidence from outside the Capitol building with people recording with their phones. I mean, there's endless amounts of documented evidence of them breaking into the building.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
understand the spin, and honestly, it's a weak spin. But
yeah.
see, the argument though that I hear is, well, Trump pardoned them, so they have to. It has to be okay. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, I've seen it. Well,
I believe you, and that is rage-inducing.
it's like, what?
Yeah. Um, and then that of course brings us right into the second talking point, which is that, oh well, it wasn't a riot, it was peaceful. They were led into the Capitol building and they were given a tour. Yeah. So
Okay, we're talking about the tour that was given, and then there were people that had been in the Capitol building that turned off, unlocked doors, turned off surveillance
yes.
cameras. Okay, you don't do that
Because
tour.
yeah, because and that's again the Proud Boys. I mean, it was a coordinated effort. They planned it. They were charged with
They
conspiracy.
had
I mean, they were
t-shirts. They had
yes,
t-shirts. I
yes,
mean, honestly,
and
they had t-shirts. That takes a day or two to print.
and not to mention how many, I mean, the number of police officers that were assaulted, not to mention that, of course, like I mentioned, the video of them breaking the windows and breaching into the Capitol. Not to
And they,
mention,
I mean, come on. I
yeah,
don't know of a tour where they let you wipe your feces on the walls.
yeah, or where they let you into the Speaker of the House's office so that way you can kick up your feet. And I mean, like,
The fact that people
no,
are, I mean, again, but this actually goes into one of the talking points, not on this topic, but another show episode we need to have that's five things to be worried about and six reasons to hope. And one of the things is executive overreach.
yeah, I mean,
So it was a tour, a 3 hour tour,
yes.
but they didn't go
Um,
to Gilligan's Island.
Yes, and so I the thing, but the
Seriously,
thing,
I
the
mean, is
thing that I
that
thought
the
was
best they can do? Is it
right,
the
and
best they can do?
what's so crazy is that those two talking points are literally they counter one another. I see this all like we see this all the time where they'll have their talking points and one talking point counters the other talking point.
Well, and I will say, I mean, I'm gonna say in their defense, in their defense, um, even the Democrats, we don't all agree on why, but we don't focus on conspiracy theories. We're like,
Right.
sure, but I mean, I just think that liberals, progressive, I don't even know what we are anymore, Aaron. I don't know that I'm a Democrat. I don't know that I know I'm liberal in the definition, but I don't know anymore even what to say we are.
I like I said, I use the term progressive liberal because I believe that we live in one of the richest and most powerful and influential countries in the world, and that we're losing a lot of that right now in this current administration. But I think that because we have that, we have the ability to to provide for people that live here.
You think?
And I think that beyond that, the government should have very little oversight, say, in the way that we live our lives.
Yeah, I've got to say I think that well, you know what infuriates me is the whole conversation about the whataboutism, and then you give me some, not you, but someone gives some
No,
extremely stupid example. But this is one of the MAGA talking points about the safety net that the government provides, and that everybody on the safety net is so lazy. And I'm like,
which is just
the safe
demonstrably false.
the safe demonstrably false.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't mean that to correct your pronunciation.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. You're right. Yeah.
No, I meant to reinforce. Yes. So I'm sorry. Are we done with January 6th? I'm headed into
Yeah. 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 It's just those two,
a
because
rabbit hole now.
well, again, it's the January 6th talking points. it to me it's indefensible, and it's gotten to the point where they just say, "Oh, I don't care." Okay.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I also believe that MAGA gets hit with the fire hose of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
I mean, MAGA just gets hit with a fire hose of stuff. They're constantly having to defend and justify. And actually, I asked right back before the election, I asked Trump supporters, help me understand how you justify X, Y, Z. And the consistent response I got was, I don't have to justify his behavior. Okay, I'm not asking you to justify his behavior. I'm asking you to justify your support for his behavior. Well, I don't support his behavior. I support his policies. I, I'm sorry. That does not compute. So okay, so let's talk about I think we have time to do well, do we want to do one more or do we want to make another episode?
Um, Actually, yeah, I guess we could just do a back at it continued because we might get into another episode and have to do a third one.
Like literally,
Just turn it into an arc. We're just gonna do MAGA talking points arc where we just go down this list
I, I, I
and
I mean just like um because I mean we've got this. So we've talked about okay, so we've talked about America First mentality. We've talked about the election and voter fraud claims. We talked about January 6th conspiracy. Um, how about we do this? How about we talk one more and then
okay,
we shut this show down and then next time we do other ones.
sure.
Okay. So here's my favorite. Gosh, I don't know which one to pick. I don't know which one to pick.
Just,
I
just
think
next time, what we need to do is you're just gonna put your paper up on the wall and you're just gonna throw darts. And you're just gonna just
it's like okay, or do
we're
like
gonna run that one.
Twister spinner. Oh,
Yes.
spinner.
They have the online spinners.
I am
You could just
totally. Oh, they make online
yeah,
spinner?
they make online spinners.
Okay, I'm gonna get, yeah, but see, then nobody can see it.
Oh no, we can, Mom. If you make an online spinner, we can set the screen share up and all we'll do
Okay,
online
we'll do an
spinning.
online spinner next time. And then whatever topics are left from our notes and whatever new ones we add, we'll talk. So here's the other one I
Yeah.
want to talk about. A MAGA talking point. God, let's do the one I started on. That'll be good. Uh, where it's the MAGA argument about government assistance programs that erode personal responsibility, or they're encouraging dependency, or they're fostering fraud, that ultimately harm and undermine the society as we know it. So I think it's important that not that it really matters to a MAGA, but statistics and data do not support this claim that when we're talking about welfare, Medicaid, Section 8 housing, Social Security, SSI, most of the recipients, and I think the last data I pulled up was like 88%, 90, I mean, it was some crazy big percentage, and I can
Right.
look that up, find the actual percentage. But most of the recipients work, or they're caring for their family, or they are facing actual physical hardship in terms of they have a disability. Anybody who
Right.
knows somebody who has had to qualify for SSI, which is social that
Yeah. Yeah.
it is shit covered flaming hoops that you have to jump through to justify your disability.
Yeah. And I have an interesting story. This is years and years ago. When I was deployed, Elizabeth was able to collect SSI for our oldest son because, as you know, he's on the spectrum. And that was before I deployed because I was like a like a PFC or something. We weren't making a lot of money, and so we qualified.
Right.
And so she had, been submitting our paychecks. And then whenever I deployed, if you remember, she moved back home. And in the mix of all that, she hadn't sent in the paychecks, the updated deployment paychecks. So eventually she started sending those in, and it had been something like 3 or 4 months. And whenever she sent those in, they were like, "Oh, we actually overpaid you for the last 3 months." And so we actually wound up, I think, losing it for 6 months because they had to garnish back the money they would have sent us. So whenever people say,
Well, and I think 100%, 100% of what you just said. And I also want to say that when I divorced your father, and this is no reflection on your dad, because we were children behaving badly. Okay. He didn't pay child support until he was court ordered. And it was like crazy rough. Me working a job, 3 kids. I was on welfare. I got as much assistance as I possibly could. I knew it was temporary. But there are some people, and I think that the justification is, oh, well, temporary is fine. But who decides that temporary is fine, or that somebody who is working, I mean, what does it say about employers? This is what bugs me, is that, MAGA measures success by how much money you make, how
right,
wealthy you are. And I think that MAGA forgets that that wealth is built on a foundation of the bodies and the lives and the efforts of people who are barely making it. Think about Walmart. Like 90% of Walmart employees qualify for Medicaid.
well, and yeah, and what's interesting, um, I was gonna the COVID actually really showcased some of that because Walmart was kind of forced to raise their wages. I I think it speaks volumes that there was that they recognized, like, oh, we actually have to pay people livable wages if they're going to come into this job during COVID.
Right.
Um,
Well, and
but
again,
sorry.
this mind, no, no, it's a perfect example. And I think the MAGA mindset is, if you have money, you're a good person. If you're poor, you're a bad person. You did something bad. You made a stupid mistake. Not that you had some crazy life event that bankrupted you because of insurance. Well,
Yeah.
it's your fault that you didn't have the right insurance. But I want to be super clear on the MAGA argument that government assistance undermines and harms, the government, is not supported by data of the countries that have safety nets. The countries that have good safety nets, or even what might be considered lavish safety nets, are not suffering. They are not.
No.
They do not have bad economies. They do not have a bad, So, and I
Have
would
you?
I would be
Sorry.
very curious if you had data that showed that they do.
I I don't, but I know I can already tell you what the mega counterpoint is, that the reason why they're allowed to have those strong social safety nets is on the back of America's military. That it is. And and walk me. I'm gonna walk you down this path on
I need you
deconstructing
to
that
hold my
argument.
hand and walk me down that path, because
So
I'm not
the
convinced.
ar the argument is, oh well, the reason Sweden can have their amazing social safety nets is because they're smaller, which is easily, I mean, easy refutable. Yeah, they're smaller. They also make
Yeah,
way less money
right.
and have way less people. Doesn't matter. Because they don't have a defense budget, but we do. Okay, but our defense budget is able to be what it is, again because we protect the tradeways. We are the number one trade, which Trump has destroyed. He's ruined all of our trade relations. um,
No,
and
that's the art of the deal. It's the Trump trap. He's waiting
yes.
to fall into the Trump trap.
It's it, but yes, and then and then on top of that, fine. If you want to say that it is because of military, it's because they don't have a big military. Okay, well then why can't we? And I'm not the kind of person that's for this, but why can't we lower the military's budget and then use some of that money? Oh, well, we have to have a strong. America has to have a strong military. So at which point I'm like, okay, so then your argument that it's because it's on the backs of our military, you're saying it wouldn't matter because we're going to have the military we have anyway. You're completely not acknowledging that our military protects the tradeways. That's why we're so fucking rich. Like, yeah, sorry. It's
Oh,
just
no. That argument, the logic plays for me. I would have to hear that debunked. I mean, your logic plays for me. Um, I would also say the data does not support widespread fraud or laziness. Because again, most of the people, this is why the irony, I mean, the stupidity, I don't even think it's irony, the stupidity of the HR1 bill, aka BBB, I'm not going to say it. The irony is that it's going to require all these recipients to work, and I'm like, what the fuck? They're already working. Most of them, 82% or so, are already working. So now you're going to set up some kind of crazy infrastructure to monitor them working?
right. Well, and what I hate is that that is the point that counters the need. Well, but that then MAGA turns back around and says, well, then it shouldn't matter. It should, if they're already working, then it shouldn't matter. They're not going to lose their benefits anyway if they're already working.
But now we're going to pay someone to supervise and monitor that they're
Right. Right. Not
okay.
to mention that eventually some of them won't be able to work because of,
Oh, yeah, because the new guidelines are going to make too much money.
right.
We're going to have to quit a job.
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
whole thing.
we have to remember something that having a healthy safety net is not a problem because a healthy safety net is the floor we all stand on. That when you lose your job because you have a medical issue and you have crazy medical bills, that there's some sort of resource, for you to fall back on. And this whole bullshit about, well, make America great again. What we used to do is that families were, supporting each other. Yeah, that is the biggest load of bullshit ever. They put mom and grandma in some crappy little room in the back and just let her die. We want to live a little bit higher quality of life and we want to have a little bit more civilized civilization. Um,
Well,
ugh.
and it's like what the thing that I think is so crazy is that they'll make the claims that oh, I care about Americans, I want what's best for Americans, and then you say, well, okay, well then why then shouldn't we be building these social networks so that way it can be Americans supporting Americans? Well, I don't want to give any
I don't
handouts.
want to give any handouts, and you're like, okay, well, statistically, just statistically, if I have this number correct, there are 100 people in the room. 8 of them might be receiving more benefits than they should, or they're receiving benefits fraudulently. So you're telling me that 92 people should not get benefits because there's 8 who might not be getting them, who might be getting them and shouldn't.
I mean, yeah, that's what they would say. And then whenever you point out to them that like
Well, that's not what I mean.
right or that they'll there's so many ways that like their argument supports one thing and then if you and then it's like well why should gun laws if criminals are going to anyway why should we have gun laws okay that's a valid point so then if you know if people are going to take advantage of the system anyway then why are we going to get rid of the system
Well, because
like
it's not guns, because you're not going to touch my.
yeah I know
Like, why do I even have to explain this? Like, you're not going
I
to
know
touch guns. There is no logical argument
I
that's ever going to make
know
that will
I
get
know
you
and
within
I
10
just
feet of my weapons there, buddy.
it's just so interesting the way that like they can make an argument for one thing and then whenever you're like you do a hypothetical comparison argument with something else that basically is counter to what they're saying they're like oh well that's different or
Well,
oh well
it's
yeah
not different when they give you some kind of a crazy off the wall
yes
okay. So, we are not going to end without giving our little spiel on action items. And next week we are going to talk about more MAGA talking points and MAGA myths. We may even find a few more. Fluff
yeah
out our list. Action items. I will say this week was a bit discouraging for me because it feels like there is a layer of heaviness on everything, that it's just such a clusterfuck of stupidity and hate and fear and greed and lies and deceit. It's like, what the hell? And so I had to take a step back and say, okay, there are still things that we fight for. And those include releasing the dollars that have been pre-approved by Congress. So if you're looking for an action item, call your representative and insist, particularly if you have a Republican representative, and insist that they release those dollars. I think we also need to be focused on the midterms, and Aaron and I may have to do a special. We may have to do part two of this as a happy hour.
That might be a way
And
to go about it. Yeah.
next week we could actually, so we could do a Friday happy hour and then maybe next Sunday talk about
I won't be I won't be on next Sunday.
I thought it was the 12th.
Well, no, okay, wait, no, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I should be good
Yeah.
next Sunday. Yeah,
So
sorry.
maybe Friday we could do a happy hour. If you can get, you'll have to ask Elizabeth, but we'll finish the MAGA talking points in a happy hour. And then next week we can talk about midterms.
Yeah. And midterms, if you are like me and you live in one of the blue dots in big old Texas, um, this midterm election is going to be huge. It's going to be a really big deal because they're trying to gerrymander the fuck
They are
out of the
absolutely, but
state.
let me also say this, the gerrymandering wouldn't be taking place if there weren't going to be midterms. So the argument could be made, well, okay, that's good news that they're trying to do gerrymandering because they wouldn't be doing gerrymandering if they were going to be eliminating the midterms.
Yeah. And that's I mean that there it is no clear like like
Oh, it
like
could not be clearer what Tarrant
yeah.
County did with their redistricting, even after all of the complaining. Okay, so back to action
Yeah,
items.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. It's so passionate. We're so passionate about action items and what's going on and so many things. I need to actually I need to sew a thing, like a little wall hanging that says so many things and just hang it behind me. Um, okay, so call your representative, tell them that they need to release the funding that's available. Start paying attention to the midterms, and I think those are two big ones right now. I think we need a break. We need to rest a little because the midterms are going to require a lot of our energy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's probably a good time right now because they're out of things to rapid fire on because there is a hyper fixation on the Epson stuff.
Well,
So
and let's
they're
also point out that the Republicans um, uh, recessed early so they wouldn't have to vote on the Epstein thing.
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like every single Republican voted against the the um the motion to release the Epstein files. Every single one and every single Democrat voted for it. And now
Yeah.
uh I can't remember his name. The guy in charge, Mike Johnson?
Yeah. That
Is
sounds yeah, he's the Speaker
that
of the
the
House,
Speaker of
yeah.
the House? Yeah, he dismissed the Congress early so that they wouldn't get to vote on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was that and then now there's the Trump DOJ. I sat down with Maxwell twice
Okay, and before
and
you get me started, the fact that they're talking to the sex trafficker instead of talking to the victims. Oh, oh. Now I will say I did some research because I was going to post something that I did not post. They only gave her limited immunity. She didn't get blanket immunity. She got limited immunity, which just it's a big difference. It's a huge difference. So anyway, okay. Oh, so many things. All right. Well. Thank you for joining us today. Aaron, do you have any like closing? How do we wrap up?
so the thing I always like to close on, I know you gotta go, is remember that there is no s- resistance that's too small.
Correct.
Um, no matter what it is, no matter how big or small it is,
Cookies for the
any
birds.
yeah, anything that you're doing, anything that you're doing that is in counter to what is going on. Um,
I think even being loving, I think being kind to your neighbor, I think not being hateful. I mean, inaction, not being hateful is resistance. You want to be hateful to your MAGA neighbor. Well, don't. uh, you need to speak up for the marginalized folks. Yes, that's resistance.
Yeah,
Make space for the protest. There is no wrong way to resist. There,
right.
and I love that you think to say that every week. And we don't have to rush. I mean, you can carry on. I can come
No,
back.
yeah, that was just, I mean, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna throw up our in splash screen. I just always want to get that out there, you know, and
I
we
love
talk
that.
about all the things you can do, but I just, sometimes I worry about people feeling guilty like they're not doing enough, and it's like anything that you're doing is enough.
Think about every single person that opposed the current administration did something,
Right.
anything. That's power. So
Yeah.
it it's good that you keep saying that. So
Yeah.
love you.
I love you too.
And
And we'll talk.
how
Yeah, I'll talk to Elizabeth. Should be Friday, should be good, and then uh
we'll
Sunday
see how
as
much
usual.
we can drink this time because I plowed through a bottle of wine last time and you had
And
quite a
she's always like, you don't drink nearly as much. And I'm like, Mom, I'm like 6 shots in, okay?
I know.
I pre-gamed, okay? I showed up, I showed up ready.
It's my whole game.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well, folks, thank you for those of you that tune in and watch it because we have fun whether anybody's watching this or
oh
not.
yeah.
All right. And until we get together again, bye for now.